Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at the vocabulary we use to talk about living in cities. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today's lesson is looking at vocabulary related to living in cities and a lot of the words that we use to describe our life in cities. Now, this lesson is particularly useful if you need to do a presentation in English or an exam, like an oral exam, and you need to talk about life in a city. These are some of the words that we're going to use. So, living in cities. Now, cities can be densely populated places, okay? They have a lot of built up areas. Densely populated, meaning they have a very large population living close together in built up areas where there's a lot of construction, okay, a built up area. In cities, we can have residential areas where people live, obviously, residential areas, and we can have commercial areas or commercial districts where we have the shops that we buy our products in. Okay, so the residential and the commercial areas. Now, we can live in the center of the city. We can live in the outskirts of a city, so in the center or the outskirts. And if we live in the outskirts, normally we live in the suburbs. Now, where I come from, a city called Perth in Australia, Perth is a city that has a centre, and the centre is mainly for offices, okay? It's where people work. But the majority of the population live in the outskirts or they live in the suburbs, okay? Not many people live in the inner city in Perth, okay? The inner city is very urban. People prefer to live in the residential areas in the outskirts, okay? In the outskirts of the city. Now, when you live in a city, you can live in a neighborhood, okay, your neighborhood. You can have a lot of local amenities, like things that are provided in that area, normally by the government. So schools can be considered amenities, swimming pools, sports centers, things that are provided there for you to do activities. So they can be considered as amenities also, or they can also be known as facilities. So local amenities or local facilities. Okay. Some of the areas in cities can contain poor housing, meaning that the housing is not in a very good condition. The houses are quite old or they are run down. Or neighborhoods can be up and coming, meaning that they have a lot of potential, that a lot of people want to live there, so they can be an up and coming. The areas with poor housing normally are derelict areas. They could also be known as slums, okay, because they are run down, okay, they're run down. The government maybe doesn't spend any money to maintain the area. And of course, the people that live there don't want to spend a lot of money, so areas can become run down. They can also be deprived areas as well, okay? Deprived, meaning that there's not a lot of money there. There's not a lot of people living there that have access to good facilities. They can be deprived areas. In the up-and-coming areas, or they can also be known as upmarket areas, okay? They can be quite lively neighborhoods. They might have gone through a regeneration process. So maybe there was an area in the city that was quite run down, but the government or some new people came in and decided to regenerate the area. So the area went through a regeneration. But basically what happens is that cities are starting to sprawl. Sprawl, meaning that they are starting to extend great distances. They're starting to sprawl. Los Angeles in the USA is a city that sprawls. Sydney in Australia sprawls. It's a sprawling city, okay? So all of these words here can be used to describe our life or our living in cities. Thank you very much for watching the lesson. Remember to leave a comment if you have any questions or any doubts. Please share the video on social media, your Facebook, Google+, or Twitter. I'll see you in the next lesson, so have a good day.